Man, you wouldn't believe the tension in that courtroom when Kelly Clarkson walked in. No glitz, no glam, just her stepping in like she meant business. Nobody saw this coming. I mean, we'd heard whispers of celebs getting dragged into Diddy's trial, but Kelly, the down-to-earth singer, with the killer voice that threw everyone for a loop. She didn't hide behind shades or lawyers. She just marched up to the witness stand, swore to tell the truth, and got ready to spill something big. The room was already buzzing from Katy Perry's bombshell testimony earlier. Something about an envelope with secrets that blew the case wide open. But when Kelly spoke, it got dead quiet. She wasn't there for fame or drama. "I came here for her," she said, and we all knew who. Her was the woman who'd vanished, the one tied to Katy's envelope. The ghost behind every shocking reveal in this trial. Kelly knew her. They'd been friends way back before the fame and the mess. Just two women trying to make it in the brutal music industry. Kelly's voice broke a little as she told us how her friend confided in her one night after a charity event. "She felt like she was in a cage," Kelly said. "She told me about things happening at parties, stuff that haunted her." Back then, Kelly didn't know how to help. She offered a shoulder, but life got busy, and then her friend was gone. Just disappeared. As Kelly spoke, you could feel the weight of her words. This wasn't some celeb looking for attention. This was someone carrying guilt for not doing more sooner. Then, she dropped a bombshell. After Katy's testimony jogged her memory, Kelly dug through old stuff and found a voicemail from her friend, time-stamped just days before she vanished. In it, the woman said, "If anything happens to me, tell them I tried. I gave it to the right person. She'll know what to do." The courtroom was shook. This wasn't just a sad story, it was proof. That message tied straight to the envelope Katy brought in, showing her friend meant to pass on the truth. Kelly wasn't playing around. She stared right across the room. Everyone knew she meant Diddy, even if she didn't say his name, and said some people here built careers on fear. "I won't be silent anymore." Chills, man. The jury looked rattled. The judge let the voicemail transcript into evidence, and you could tell this was just the start. Kelly came back stronger after a break. She wasn't just grieving. She was angry at a system that chews up voices like her friends. She talked about trying to find her after she disappeared, hitting dead ends with mutual contacts, hearing Diddy's name whispered in fear over and over. People warned her off, even with her fame. "Don't push. Think of your kids, your career," they'd say. That's when she realized how deep the fear went, not just for victims, but for anyone who dared ask questions. She couldn't sleep, haunted by what-ifs. So she called the prosecution herself. Didn't wait to be dragged in, just asked how she could help. She also had emails from her friend, old ones she'd brushed off as emotional rants back then. Now, rereading them, the fear was clear as day. Subject lines like, "Things I can't say out loud," hit different after everything the trial uncovered. Those emails matched up with Katy's USB drive and a journalist's notebook already in evidence. It all pointed to a machine built to silence people, discredit them, make them disappear. Kelly looked at the jury and said she trusted me to carry her voice. This isn't just a celebrity case. It's about power erasing people and silence making us all guilty. People in the gallery were crying. Even a juror wiped a tear. This wasn't just testimony. It was a gut punch. But wait, there's more. Kelly had a sealed letter from her friend, given to her at their last dinner, with instructions to open it only when everything made sense. She handed it over in court, and when it was read aloud, it was like her friend was speaking from the grave. "I'm terrified not for me, but for those trapped in this nightmare," it said. "There are rooms where music stops and control begins. Rooms that erase people." The letter even listed initials, 6 sets that matched other evidence tying everything together. Kelly begged the jury to see this as more than a letter, as a woman's last cry for help. "We've all protected the powerful," she said. "Now, we choose stay quiet or make this mean something." You could feel the room shift. Kelly wasn't just a witness, she was a force. Next up was a former event coordinator, a nobody in the spotlight but a big deal behind the scenes at Diddy's parties. He was nervous as hell, hands shaking, but what he said backed up everything. He talked about how these events started as glitzy bashes, but turned into something creepy, controlled. Phones taken, NDAs, signed without reading, guests looking scared. Then he mentioned Room 7C. Man, that name kept coming up, a place you didn't ask about. Didn't go near, just sent certain people in, usually young women alone. He'd escorted some himself, saw one beg to leave because she felt unsafe. Security took her away, and he never saw her again. He even recognized initials from Kelly's letter as code for people with access to 7C. It wasn't just one bad apple. It was a whole rotten system. Then, a cybersecurity expert took the stand, all calm and nerdy, but his evidence was explosive. They'd recovered data from a wiped phone, tied to a Diddy associate, messages, voicemail stuff, meant to be gone forever. One voice note was from Kelly's friend, recorded the day she disappeared. If you're hearing this, I didn't run, I was taken. There are things in that house they don't want seen. GPS data pinned it to a private estate, linked to Diddy. Another clip, a voicemail to KC. Kelly said, "Don't stop asking. Room 7C is the end of the line." Add to that a partially recovered photo of a restrained woman, time-stamped to the same night, and it was undeniable. This wasn't just stories. It was hard proof. A survivor came forward next, unnamed until that day, shaking, but brave. She'd been lured into Diddy's world with glamour, only for it to turn dark. Invites became orders. She described being taken to Room 7C phone, gone escorted by suited men, Diddy waiting inside with others. She didn't go into gory details, but said, "I left a different person, forced to carry silence." Threats followed when she tried to leave the industry. Money offers career sabotage. She knew Kelly's friend who'd warned her, "If I go missing, I'm trying to fix this." Her testimony, plus a note she'd kept, matched everything else. "I'm done being scared of men with money," she told the jury. People were in tears. This wasn't a trial anymore, it was a reckoning. Kelly came back one last time, and you knew it was huge. She had a name, someone her friend called the architect, the real mastermind behind the system with Diddy. Just the face. She'd written it down, checked it, found he's a bigwig executive still in entertainment. Funding parties, paying off security, making people vanish. The courtroom lost it. The judge sealed the name for now, but Kelly's words rang out. "If you're part of the silence, your time is up." The walls protecting monsters are crumbling. Social media exploded outside. Room 7C trended. Survivors started sharing. The truth wasn't just out. It was unstoppable. More witnesses piled on. A former intern found storage drives with creepy file names including Kelly's friends and got canned for seeing too much. A video from a mystery package showed a woman being led down a hallway barely standing, dated to the disappearance. Then a guy from Diddy's legal team admitted to cleaning up problems, payoffs, NDAs, silencing people. He named the architect too, had memos proving it, even a list of everyone paid to stay quiet. It was over. No defense could spin this. After days of deliberation, the jury came back, guilty on all counts. No cheers, just quiet sobs. Justice hit hard. Kelly stepped outside to a waiting crowd and said, "I did this because someone trusted me with their truth. This isn't about one man. It's about every system protecting power." To her, you weren't erased. Justice heard you. The industry started crumbling, resignations, apologies, new investigations. Room 7C became a symbol, a warning. Kelly went home, back to her life, but she'd changed the game. She made sure the world listened. The trial ended. But the truth? It's just getting started. Man, the days after that guilty verdict felt like the world took a deep breath and then just let it all out. The courthouse steps, once a battleground of reporters and protesters, quieted down. But the energy didn't fade, it spread. Social media was a wildfire. Hashtags like Room 7C and Shock Justice. Heard you were everywhere, not just trending for a day, but sticking around, becoming rallying cries. People weren't just talking about Diddy, or even the mysterious architect Kelly named. They were sharing their own stories. Assistants, backup dancers, interns, fans, who'd seen or felt the underbelly of the industry. It was like a dam broke, and all the silence that had been bottled up for decades came pouring out. Kelly Clarkson, though, she didn't jump into the online frenzy. After her final words outside the courthouse, she went quiet. Not in a hiding way, but in a, "I've said what I needed to say" way. She went back to her life in Nashville, back to her kids and her music, but you could tell something had shifted in her. Friends close to her said she'd sit on her porch some nights just staring out, processing it all. She'd told the world about her friend's truth, stood up to a system that scared even someone as big as her, and now she was left with this mix of relief and heaviness. Relief that justice was served, but heaviness because she knew this was just one battle in a much bigger war. She started journaling again, something she hadn't done since her early days, writing down memories of her friend. Not just the pain, but the laughs, the late-night talks, the dreams they'd shared. It was her way of keeping her close, of making sure she wasn't just a name in a trial. Meanwhile, the entertainment industry was in chaos. And I mean that in the best way possible. Big-name executives, some tied to the list that Insider Lawyer leaked, started stepping down before anyone could even point fingers. Record labels and media companies put out these carefully worded statements. All were committed to change, and we stand with survivors. But a lot of folks saw through the PR spin. Fans and smaller artists started calling them out, demanding real action, transparency, independent investigations, actual consequences. A couple of major labels got hit with lawsuits from former employees and artists within weeks, alleging cover-ups and harassment that mirrored what came out in the trial. It wasn't just Diddy's empire crumbling. It was like the whole shiny facade of the industry was getting ripped off, exposing the rust underneath. Katy Perry, who'd kicked this whole thing off with that envelope, didn't stay silent either. She dropped a new single a month after the verdict, and let me tell you, it wasn't some poppy banger. It was raw, haunting with lyrics that didn't even try to hide what she'd seen. Lines like, "Locked doors, silent screams we sang over the truth" hit hard. The song shot to #1, but more than that, it became an anthem for survivors. She did a few interviews too, not about herself, but about the need for systemic change. "We can't just cancel one bad guy and call it a day," she said on a late-night show. "We've got to rebuild this industry from the ground up, or it's all for nothing." People listened. Her courage paired with Kelly's inspired other celebs to speak up. Some shared their own experiences. Others pledged to fund legal support for victims. It wasn't perfect. Some stars stayed suspiciously quiet, but it was a start. Back to Kelly, though. About 2 months after the trial, she got a call from the prosecution team. They were following up on the architect lead she'd dropped, and while his name was still sealed to the public, they confirmed they'd opened a separate investigation. They couldn't say much, but they hinted that her testimony had cracked open something even bigger, a network that stretched beyond music into other industries, all tied to the same kind of power abuse. Kelly didn't feel triumphant hearing that, just tired. She told a close friend later, "I thought I'd feel like a hero, but I just feel like I've picked up a weight I can't put down." Still, she didn't back off. When a nonprofit reached out asking her to speak at an event for survivors of industry abuse, she said yes without hesitation. She didn't sing or perform. She just told her friend's story again, quietly, reminding everyone that this wasn't about fame. It was about people. Outside the industry, regular folks started paying attention in a way they hadn't before. Documentaries popped up on streaming platforms, piecing together the trial's revelations with older scandals, showing how deep this rot went. College kids started organizing panels on campus about power dynamics and entertainment. Even my cousin, who never cared about celeb news, was texting me, "Yo, did you see what they uncovered about Room 7C? How was this allowed for so long?" It wasn't just outrage. It was a wake-up call. People started questioning who they idolized, what they consumed, who was really behind the music and movies they loved. For the survivors who'd testified, or watched from the sidelines, the verdict was a bittersweet win. Diddy was behind bars, and sentencing hit him with decades, basically a life sentence given his age. But the scars didn't vanish overnight. Some of the women who spoke out still got hate online trolls calling them liars or gold diggers, even with all the evidence. Others struggled to rebuild careers that had been tanked by blacklisting. But there was also this quiet strength growing among them. A few started a support network connecting survivors across the country, sharing resources, therapy recommendations, even just a safe space to vent. Kelly donated anonymously to their fund. She didn't want credit, just to help, and sent a handwritten note saying, "You're not alone. Keep going." As for the architect, the mystery man Kelly named Whispers kept leaking. Anonymous posts on forums claimed he was already lawyering up moving assets overseas, trying to dodge the storm. Nothing was confirmed, but the prosecution's investigation picked up steam. A major news outlet dropped a bombshell 6 months post-trial, alleging ties between him and several political figures who'd quietly funded campaigns to keep certain laws lax on industry oversight. It was messy, complicated, and way above most people's heads, but it kept the conversation alive. No one was untouchable anymore. Kelly, through all this, started working on new music, not about the trial directly, but you could feel its shadow in her writing. Her team said she'd spend hours in the studio sometimes, just sitting with a guitar, letting the emotions pour out. One song leaked early by a producer had a line that stuck with everyone I spoke for the voiceless. "Now I'm learning to sing again." Fans ate it up not just for the music, but for what it meant. She was healing, but she wasn't forgetting. A year after the verdict on the anniversary of her friend's disappearance, Kelly did something no one expected. She posted a simple photo online, just a candle burning on a table. No caption, no hashtags. But everyone knew. Comments flooded in thousands of people saying, "We remember her," or "Thank you for fighting." That candle became a symbol, popping up at vigils and events for survivors. It was small, but powerful, a reminder that this wasn't over. The trial had ended, but the fight for accountability, for safety, for voices to be heard, that was still going strong. And honestly, that's where the real story is now. Not in one courtroom or one guilty verdict, but in the ripple effect. The industry's still got a long way to go. Plenty of snakes are still hiding. Plenty of rooms like 7C might still exist under different names. But people like Kelly Cady and those brave survivors, they've made it so we can't look away anymore. They've turned silence into a weapon against itself. And if you ask me, that's the kind of change that doesn't just fade with the news cycle. It sticks. It builds. And maybe, just maybe, it saves someone who's still trapped in a cage waiting for someone to hear them.